Byron Donald, the black Republican congressman from Florida who is seeking to win over black voters for Trump and his VP spot, shockingly attempted to put a positive spin on the era of Jim Crow. Talk about a slap in the face of black Americans and decades of progress. When he appeared on the readout, Joy Reid brilliantly showed us how a simple question can reveal layers of hypocrisy. It's a true work of art how she brilliantly destroyed him on her show. We'll watch that in just a few, but first, let's be clear about the significance of Donald's outlandish comment. Jim Crow was a period of intense racial segregation and discrimination in America's history. To attempt to romanticize or minimize the impact of such a horrific chapter is not only deeply troubling, but also incredibly disrespectful to the countless individuals who fought against oppression. In the current socio-political climate where racial tensions persist, it is so alarming that a black leader would align himself with a narrative that seeks to downplay the atrocities of the past, all in the name of winning over Donald Trump and making him proud. When Joy Reid called him out about his backhanded statement, he quickly tried to switch the flip and play victim. Let's watch.
That was the only point. The stuff that comes up about Jim Crow and twisting my words, saying I was being nostalgic or saying that Jim Crow was good for black people, that's all political spin. It's a lie. It's gaslighting. And that's truly unfortunate.
So here's the challenge, Congressman. You started out talking about your family, talking about your mom, talking about being raised, and you on your own brought up Jim Crow. In fact, you said Jim Crow 3 times for emphasis. It wasn't the media or the Democrats or gaslighters who brought up Jim Crow. It was you. You brought up Jim Crow. So
Donald really tried to minimize the legacy of Jim Crow for political gain, and it backfired hard. Now he is somehow upset that he is facing backlash for the bizarre comment he cooked up and decided to throw out there. Trying to spin Jim Crow America into something positive is a tool that will never be appropriate. We're talking about discrimination, segregation, voter suppression, racial violence, and scarce economic opportunities. It is not only insensitive, but also deeply inflammatory when trying to garner support from anyone, and especially the black community. I'm confused as to how he ever thought that was something that should have made it out of his drafts. Before we dive into the next clip, just remember that Daniels has this bad habit of trying to talk over people when he is caught up in lies or his own hypocrisy. We're about to see that now, and later we'll watch how Joy Reid puts him on hush mouth as he fails to answer a simple question regarding his Jim Crow comment.
Okay, let's talk about that. Jim Crow lasted roughly from 1867 after the Civil War to 1968. Is there a specific period between 1867 and 1968 that you thought was this golden era for black families, or a time that was good for black families?
Joy, I never said that. And see, this is where the gaslighting comes in.
I'm going to read what you said.
All I was talking about was the marriage rates.
Stop. No,
Joy,
that's not what you said. Let's play what you said.
Play
what he said. Play what he said.
Families. You're saying I said it was the golden era. I never said that.
I'm going to play what you said.
I said that it was better for black families. I never said that. I
play what he said.
Play what I said.
Please play what he said.
During Jim Crow, the black family was together. That's right. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then H.E.W., Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are.
Did he, as a black man, just complain about Lyndon B. Johnson's contributions to the civil rights movement? Johnson played a significant role in addressing the injustices of the Jim Crow era through his efforts to advance civil rights legislation. He championed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Pieces of legislation that aimed to dismantle segregation and protect voting rights of African Americans, paving the way for greater equality and civil rights protections for all citizens. His actions marked a crucial turning point in the fight against institutionalized racism and discrimination, setting the stage for further advancements in civil rights in the years to come. And like Joy Reid is about to point out, Donald's life wouldn't be as he knows it if we were still stuck in the days of Jim Crow.
Last question.
Which creates better people going forward.
Last question, and then I'm going to let you go. Last question. We're out of time, but I'm going to give you one more question. During Jim Crow, could your family have existed? You are in an interracial marriage. Your wife is a white conservative activist. Could your family have existed at all during Jim Crow?
No, it could not, Joy. And we all
Okay.
know that. But that's why I am blessed to live in America today as opposed to America during that time. But we cannot ignore the realities of not having fathers in homes. That is important for Black people today and all people today as we move forward for a better America.
We are out of time. What I'm grateful for is that we do not live in the Jim Crow era and that fathers do not face the threat of lynching.
I'm very grateful of that.
Perhaps don't bring up Jim Crow when you're trying to make that example. Representative Byron Donald, thank you for being here, and we'll be right back.
So during the Jim Crow era, he speaks so highly of. His marriage would have been illegal. It was with the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 we talked about earlier that this discriminatory period officially ended. But the Supreme Court didn't legalize interracial marriage until 1967 in Loving versus Virginia. Now that was a powerful reality check. Donalds needed that wake-up call after his Jim Crow remark. He fails to acknowledge the intricate web of historical injustices, institutional racism, and the continuous hardships that Black families endure while striving to assert their rights and uphold stable households. It's quite perplexing to witness his unwavering support for viewing Jim Crow America in a positive light in the name of family, all while idolizing Donald Trump, a man known for his tumultuous personal life, marked by multiple marriages, divorces, scandals, alleged affairs, and controversies. Someone who truly values family, understands that stability, trust, and respect are the bedrock of a strong household.